Hello, everyone. If you can hear me, you can just drop your name, your country in the chat box if I'm audible enough.
Hello, Professor. Yes, you are audible.
Thank you. So good day, everyone. Welcome to the very first editorial forum of the Operating Room Global Journal, which is TORG-J. I want to officially welcome everyone, depending on where you are joining us from. I know some people are connected on YouTube. As we are currently live, I want to say welcome, everyone. Good morning. I want to say good afternoon as well, good evening, depending on your time zones. I'm really excited to be here and to be joining this session with everyone as well. The Talk Journal, as we all know, is the very first initiative, the very first journal of the Operating Room Global. And we are actually excited that this is happening and everyone is a part of this. So I'm excited to begin this journey with everyone. I would like to welcome you all to this amazing session today. Even though it's going to take an hour and a half, well, averagely. Hopefully, we shouldn't take too long. And I want to use this medium to also encourage everyone to be active, to pay attention, to participate as much as possible. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask the editorial team as we go along. And hopefully the session is going to be insightful. It's going to shed more light on what the Operating Room Global Journal is actually about, and let us know what to expect as well. Just if you see, I think I'm saying it should be the Operating Room Global Journal anyway. So I want to welcome everyone. Thank you for joining this session. It's a privilege to be in your midst. And I would like to acknowledge the presence of the editorial team members joining the session as well. They are going to be discussing with everyone. They are going to be sharing their knowledge and they are going to let you know what to expect in relation to the journal as well. So welcome everyone to the session and pay attention as much as possible and feel free to engage. So as part of this session, we're going to be starting off with opening remarks, introduction, just as I am doing now. And after that, we're going to have a session on starting a submission step by step, and that is going to be taken by Dr. Asjed. He's the secretary and PRO, and also a peer reviewer at TORG-J. And after that session, we will have TORG-J editorial process, how to know the flow, actually what happens when you submit to the journal. So that is going to be anchored by Dr. Vernon. Is the managing editor of TORG-J and is going to be explaining that to everyone. And after that, we are going to have a session on understanding the article processing charges. That's the APC of the Talk Journal, and everyone is going to understand that as well. So that is going to be taken by Dr. Ishan Bakshi, one of the section editors and peer reviewers of TORG-J. And after that session, we will be having responding to reviewer comments, the tone, the structure, and the strategy, and that is going to be anchored by one of the peer reviewers as well, by the editorial board member, that is Dr. Alex from Kenya. And then we will have plagiarism and retraction policy, what that actually entails, by Dr. Nigat Addis. And most importantly, you will be learning how to promote your published work, the tools, the right tools to use, the right platform to use. That is going to be taken by Mr. Ride Rawat, one of the section editors and peer reviewers as well. So, and then we will definitely have a question and answer session after all the sessions have been presented. And that is going to be anchored by Dr. Prishita Banerjee. And then the final remark will be given by the production and technical editor of the Talk Journal, which is Mr. Mayowa Patrick. So it's going to be an engaging session. And then it's going to be very exciting as well. So I look forward to joining this with everyone. So I'm going to just share my screen just in a few minutes, just to introduce the journal and let everyone know what that is about. So just a few lines about the journal so everyone can be aware of this. I know maybe a few people, I know they have submitted to the journal already, but I want to officially introduce the Talk Journal, which is the Operating Room Global Journal Talk J. This Operating Room Global Talk J is actually under the new organization that was incorporated in Ireland so recently, which is the Operating Room Global Center for Education, Research and Innovation. So this journal is actually under the jurisdiction of TOG-CERI, which is the Center for Education, um, Research and Innovation, which is incorporated in Ireland. So the Operating Room Global Journal is actually an open access journal. It's going to be peer reviewed and multidisciplinary international journal as well, committed to advancing evidence-based knowledge in all domains that is related to the perioperative environment. As majority know, the Operating Room Global is represented by members from 107 countries as at today. We've got 42 disciplines represented. So if we are having a journal, there has to be a way that that journal actually captures all the disciplines represented in the Operating Room Global environment, in the Operating Room environment that are actually under the Operating Room Global as an umbrella. So it's it's going to advance evidence-based knowledge in all domains that relate to the perioperative environment. So that is basically about the journal in a nutshell. So the scope of the journal relates to surgery, it relates to surgical subspecialties, anesthesiology, critical care, perioperative, intraoperative nursing. Well, perioperative is actually pre, intra, and post, and perfusion medicine is included. Operating room management, safety systems, biomed, sterilization, surgical tech, every field you can think of in the operating room. So, and including management as well, global surgery, healthcare policy. So that is the scope of the journal. Any publication, any manuscript that actually fall under these domains can be considered for publication in the journal. So the aim of TalkJ is to provide a platform for researchers, clinicians, educators, policy advocates who actually share high quality research that informs practice, not just practice, it has to shape policy as well. And it has to include improve global health outcomes. So as part of our objectives, we want to use that TalkJ to establish a credible and globally inclusive journal, because diversity and inclusion is actually at the center of everything we do in the Operating Room Global. Then to promote research especially from low and middle income countries. Last year, we started the magazine arm of the Operating Room Global. And TOGMAG actually is not really peer reviewed in that sense. And it captures everything like news stories, not really scholarly, if I put it that way. But, and there's been so many questions or so many interests from members connected to the Operating Room Global that they want to publish in a way. We've got so many aspiring professionals, surgeons coming up, nurses coming up, surgical technologists, people having master's programs, PhD programs. They want to publish, but they don't really have the capacity. And in terms of capacity, I mean, in terms of funding, in terms of platforms that they could actually engage with. So but with this talk journal, we want to promote research that people that can't, we want to bring it to their doorstep. Let me put it that way. People that don't have the access, the privileged as much as possible, especially low and middle income countries. High income countries are included, but we want to promote research from that category more as much as possible. And it's going to support academic mentorship, clinical education. You know, by virtue of peer review, you get feedbacks on what you want on your manuscript. You get to correct things. You get to see a way that what you have written can actually be brought up to standards, international standards, and you become competent by that. So it's going to support academic mentorship as much as possible, drive policy, and practice improvement in the operating room settings. So the vision is actually to serve as a global platform for the dissemination of not just ordinary research now, high quality, peer-reviewed medical and surgical knowledge as much as possible. So the Talk Journal envisions becoming a leading international forum. We are just starting. So we can't be compared with maybe journals that have started 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that have been in existence prior to now. They all started from somewhere, from a point. And I believe that we can become that a leading international forum that is going to act like a role model for all other platforms. Just like 10 years ago, Talk started with just a few members, 8 members. And this month, we are clocking 10 years. So how we started is not how we are right now. There is progress every single year. So this Talk Journal, even though it's only started like a few weeks back, then we are envisioning that that Talk J is going to become a leading international forum that unites all disciplines of medicine and surgery in the pursuit of academic excellence, not just excellence, clinical innovation, and improved global health outcomes as much as possible. So the types of articles that this Talk J actually accept are original researches, review articles, clinical case reports, perspectives, commentaries, editorials, protocols, guidelines, short communications, and others that you can think of. So the journal actually adheres to strict ethical standards, and there is compliance as well. Like the committee that the journal adheres to COPE guidelines, COPE compliance, ethical. I think I have the information in the next slide so that people can know more about that. Authorship criteria, the contribution of every author needs to be outline as much as possible. Conflict of interest needs to be disclosed. If there was funding support, if there was sponsor, that has to be declared as well. There is plagiarism check using Turnitin. We are using Turnitin currently. And for plagiarism check, I think there is still an aspect of today's presentation, of today's editorial forum that actually talks about the plagiarism policy, and people will be able to know how to go about that, what we are looking for, what the editorial team members would be reviewing when they get your manuscript, and including AI detection as well. So author declarations, you have to be transparent, even if you have used artificial intelligence. The world is advancing towards technology, artificial intelligence and more. All of those things and the level that you have used it needs to be declared as much as possible. There is waiver policy. I think the aspect on APCs, it's going to be explained more when you get to that stage. And most importantly, open access license. It's open access, so authors would retain the rights. There is going to be mandatory citation, and reuse would be allowed, provided that person is referenced and the author is referenced as much as possible. So what does COPE really means? That's the Committee on Publication Ethics. So this Talk Journal adheres with COPE guidelines and other international guidelines as well. It means that Talk Journal is committed to integrity in peer review. It's committed to integrity in authorship, in conflict of interest disclosure, in retraction policies, and there is fair treatment of authors, reviewers, and editors as well. And using that guideline is going to help Talk Journal to build trust and to build credibility in the scholarly community as much as possible. So if any inquiries, if you are submitting a manuscript, more information will be shared in today's editorial forum. If you have questions on editorial decisions, if you need a feedback from the editorial team, you can always contact the editorial team using the email that I'm just displaying on the screen. So, and the website for all other information is www.talkjournal.org. Talkjournal.org. So if you have any questions, you can actually go on that website and see. It's very straightforward. We don't really have much information on that website so that people can get information at a glance and be able to navigate the pages as much as possible. So this week we are going to register with Crossref. It's been in process since like over a week now, almost going to almost 2 weeks, but it's going to be finalized within the next 2 days. And then we make significant progress from that. There's been a couple of articles so far submitted. I think 10 articles in review so far. We still need more. The editorial team members are still in need of more articles to be reviewed so that the inaugural edition can have more original articles as well, manuscripts as much as possible. So that's about the journal in a nutshell. I know I've taken most of our time, so I'm going to hand over now to Dr. Asjed, who is the secretary of the TOG Journal, the Operating Room Global Journal. Thank you so much, everyone. Dr. Asjed, you are welcome.
Thank you so much, Professor Edis, for sharing such remarks by your side. Good day, everyone. Welcome you all to the first inaugural meeting of the Operating Room Global Journal. As Professor Edis has explained very well all the journal's aims and missions and policies that we are lying down with, I'll follow up with the editorial process, how an author can submit the manuscript from a scrap of Word document to the end of journals, and that he or she submits that manuscripts and we receive that manuscript and proceed with as per our peer review policies, and our editorial board members see that all the things. So I'll be going through this. I'll be sharing my screen. And first of all, before that, I gladly announce that for the first inaugural volume of our journal, we have been receiving a lot number of manuscripts. We have been reviewing those on as per our conveniences. Editorial board member is working currently under the policies that has been briefly defined by Professor Addis and will be explained later on by each editorial member as per the assigned topic of them. So we have case reports here. We have received original research articles, primary research papers, systemic reviews. We have received some kind of meta-analysis. So we have been following up all the plagiarism policies and all the ethical review boards policies, ICGMA, and the COPE guidelines that Professor Addis mentioned. All these things have been doing for the last 2 months almost. We are getting on with it. So I'll explain the editorial process, how an author will submit the manuscript to the journal. So I'll be sharing my screen. Here you can see this one is the here you can see that one is the Operating Room Global General website. Everyone can see it on the internet and Google platforms. It is available. We are also sharing on the daily basis editorial mails and such kind of promotion policies and all these things. So here lies the aims and policies of our journal that has been explained by Professor Addis earlier on. I'll be explaining the authors section here in it. Here's the author sections line, starting with a submission. If we click on that, here's the author section. Starting with a submission, how can you submit an article to our Operating Room Global Journal? The Operating Room Global Journal, here we have the why to publish with us. These things have been explained by Professor Edison, will later on be explained by other editorial board members, like the APCs, our plagiarism policies, why to choose us, all these things has been mentioned here too, if anyone wants to read and write, then these things are available. I'll not be taking as much time because I know there is a time difference and we are having somewhere nights and somewhere evening time. So I'll be going with it very quickly. So here lies the types of articles that we accept, types of manuscripts. Basically, we can accept original research articles, review articles, clinical case reports, perspective commentaries, editorials, protocols and guidelines, short communications, letters to the editors, innovations in practices. We're basically for the first edition targeting that we can accept as much as we can the original research articles. It has been a tremendous amount of manuscripts and acceptances since last 2 months in our journal. As I have mentioned earlier on, that there have been original research articles, meta-analysis, reviews, case reports, all those things have been being received from that point. As you know, Professor Addis has explained earlier on that it's the start. We are publishing our first volume. That it doesn't mean it is the end. It is the start of a very long journey. As Professor Addis also explained that the operating room global, that is a network of 107 countries worldwide, is celebrating its 10th anniversary in this month of August. So it is also a chain of that thing. We have a magazine working on early of the operating room global that is being working from last almost 1.5 years, but didn't have any peer review policy. So we moved to a journal that can be linked to the medical and health domain, clinical, medical and health domain that can be followed up on. And the most important thing I want to mention here is why to choose us is the thing that you should choose us because the thing that we are having a very very low APC fees just because we are targeting the countries those are lying between such areas that can't afford. Usually the students, the researchers that have already been paying a large amount of fees on their academic works and all other things, they pay a lot of fee, face a lot of hindrance in publications of the manuscripts. So we are targeting a very low APC and a very good quality of work we are targeting, as we have been going to be registered with CrossRef soon, very soon, as we have paid for them, as Professor Edis explained. So going on, we are accepting all these processes. Then we have the submission process. Submission process lies in the two steps. First thing is this: you will have to submit a online form that is lying down there. I'll go to that also. Here we have the complete manuscript preparation and guidelines for the authors. It is a PDF basically that outlines all the things that I'll be explaining in this also. So anyone who opens the website can download it from here, and then we have to fill a manuscript submission form before it is submitted to the by mail to the journal. It has to be filled here. The form is has to be filled here. I'll be going through this also. Going back, I'll be explaining a few things. So in the submission process, first thing is the manuscript preparation, how you will be preparing manuscripts for our journal. As you know, all journals have different kind of policies for the manuscript acceptances, manuscript formats, policies, number of word counts, references format, all other things. So here lies our manuscripts acceptances format. All manuscripts must be written in clear, concise. We accepting just English articles, as you know, for the indexing, for the Web of Science indexing, for the journal matrix indexes, journal impact factor citations, JCIs, all those accept only the English literature. So we are also only accepting the English documents. If you have another in another language, then we can be go to the bilingual option also. Mentioning here, bilingual option is also available, but only English is mandatory. English in bilingual to English is mandatory. No other language singular can be used. So next one is the format. We accepting Microsoft Word document file should be submitted to us. My Times New Roman should be the font 12.4. Here mentioning the headings and all other things, those are present in detail in the PDF file that is present below. Everyone can download from that website. So line spacing of 1.5, these are the common things that everyone knows in preparing a manuscript for any journal. So for the original research articles, there is a title page, abstract section, less than 250 words with the keywords, 3 to 6 keywords, introduction, methods, results, discussion, conclusion, acknowledgements, references, tables, and figures in high quality tables and figures. All the sections, these points have been explained in very detail one by one also in the PDF document that is available on our website and can also be asked from us by mailing to the journal. We will respond to that. So here's the title page: preparation, full manuscript title, author's full name, affiliations, corresponding authors. If it is one, if it is more than one authors, then you have to mention other one who are corresponding authors too. So we have the word count. For this volume of our journal, we are accepting a word count for beyond the limits. Well, we will restrict it as soon as we publish our second volume. So for this time, you can proceed with any other word count. You can have the pictures and tables. Those should be a high quality, good images. We can also demand those in separate as a separate file other than incorporated Word file document. So they should be in a proper image. The referencing pattern we are following is Vancouver style. It is a worldwide pattern being used. Vancouver style, everyone should know. If she is preparing a manuscript, he knows the referencing styles. That those are Harvard's, MLS, APAs, and other Chicago's, etc. So we are following the Vancouver style. Is also the examples. Ethical considerations will later on or also will be explained also. As Professor Edis also showed, we are following COPE guidelines, we are following ICJME guidelines, we are also following BOS guidelines. So all ethical principles are being validated. We very strict. Our journal will be very strict as per the ethical policies, because these are the only things that make a journal like good in indexings and metrics and citations. So for the peer review, it is a very good thing for the authors and for the journal's editorial team, that we are following a double blind peer review process, as it is an open access journal. So we are following a double blind peer review process. No one knows who is reviewing the manuscript, and for the Holmes manuscript is being reviewed. So it is reviewed, reduces the chances of biasness on the both ends, from the authors and then from the editorial team. And so all these things are later will be explained later on. So we're going to the next step, starting the submission process, completing the Dodge manuscript checkline outlist. So as we click down here, there opens the submission form. Here's the submission form. So as we click down here,
I think it's network issues. So I just give him a couple of minutes, maybe 2 minutes to reconnect, if that's okay.
sorry, from my end, there has been a slight inconvenience. So I'll be continuing with the form as I was discussing earlier on. Here's the form line. As we click on the submission process, there this form is showed. So here's the form line that has to be filled before the I think, yes, this one. Towards submission checklist for the authors. Authors have to fill up this form before submitting their manuscript to the our journal by the email. So first we click on all these things have to be followed. These things have already been explained by me earlier on, that those were mentioned on the website. So clicking on the next page, after reading this, we'll proceed to the second page of the form. Here the author puts his name, the corresponding author, first corresponding author that has to be mentioned. He or she will put his or her name. For example, I have been put random name. I'll be going with random details just to show up the process of the workflow. So I'll put a next email here. Anything, for example, any data is put as an email here, affiliation, phone number, contact number, full address of all authors, here mentioning very clearly that all authors have to be mentioned with proper details, with their complete names and the correct names, very cross-checked, because later on we follow the same written things. Those are sent to us from this form on the manuscript publications. Then later on it becomes an issue if the name spellings are miscorrect, or some names are mispronounced or miswritten. So we just copy and paste the same things that are present here. So it's on the author. He should submit the proper details here. Then we have the title of manuscript. Title should be concise. About details about the title, how the title should be selected, are present in the PDF attached on the website. Earlier on I discussed. Then we have the type of manuscript you are submitting. It is original, research, review, article, case report, editorial, perspective, or other, all the things these are. So moving on to the next page. Then these are the general requirements. Confirmation of the general requirements have been met. The manuscript has not been published previously and is under review. All authors have read and approved the final manuscript. The manuscript is original and free of plagiarism, confirmed by Turnitin, authenticated with similarity index of less than 19. As you all know, that Turnitin is the authentic official platform that we follow for the plagiarism policies. It will be explained later on. Also, and we also are checking AI or two. That is also less than 19%. As you all know, that recently from the last year almost, Turnitin has added AI also in their platform. So AI and similarity index both are checked for the plagiarism policies. So we you have to check all these things. Then we're moving on to the next. The next one shows the confirm the following manuscript components are included. First one is title page includes title of the article, author's name with affiliations, correspondences, author's email, ORC IDs if available. You can skip the ORC ID if not available. Mostly authors that don't have the ORC IDs, except the high standard authors. Those have been publishing again and again, like PhD scholars and postdoc scholars and all those ones. So the title page should have the title of art, and there should be a proper title mentioned. Then you should write the author's details of the all authors. If there are more than one corresponding author, then it should be mentioned on the title page. And affiliations, affiliation with the institution, affiliation with some kind of organization, you whatever you want to write. And contact in contact details, both the contact number and the email address should be mentioned. Then we have the abstract. Guidelines for the abstract are present in the PDF keywords, then main text, tables and figures, references, conflicts of interest. Very, very important thing. Most of the manuscripts we received earlier on in the for our first volume publishing, we saw that conflicts of interest statement and acknowledgements were not present. So every author must mention conflict of interest statements and acknowledgements, because as we proceed those for the publication, we have to follow the international guidelines of ICJMA, COPE guidelines and other guidelines. Those ask for the, they cross-check the conflict of interest statement in our submissions, acceptances, all these things. So they should be present. Ethical approval, informed consents. We don't ask these ethical approvals and consent forms to be attached in the Word document. You can just write a statement about that. But if we have see that there is some kind of actual human population or animals being used specially, then we can ask the authors personally by mailing that you should send us the ethical approval informed consent form of your data collection. Though moving on to the next page, here we have confirmed the file requirements are met. The main manuscript is submitted as a Word document with figures attached, supplementary material, cover letter, all these things. You should have to cross-check all these things with. If you have prepared manuscript as per the guidelines mentioned on the website and the helping PDF author submission PDF, then you should just check on these as a cross-check material only. So next one, we have the declaration of authors and responsibilities. Confirmation, the author's contribution statement is included. All authors agree. APC request. Here APC will be explained later on in very detail. Then I just want to tell here the APC is basically the publication charges that are being followed if any authors, as we are also offer discounts on publication in our fee. Despite we have a very, very low APC, still we also give a discount in APC policy as per the editorial board decision and as per the guidelines of our CEO, Professor Dr. Addis. And then APC can be requested as a separate application to the journal. When you submit it through your manuscript through mail, you can also submit the APC waiver application. That can be a full APC waiver, that can be a partial APC waiver, whatever that suits you. So moving on to the next page. Here we have the additional recommendations over CID, trial registration, the manuscript follows storage, and the manuscript follows storage formatting guidelines, and all these things we have the additionally. So moving on to the next, I'll just check one or two to just move on to the next. Here lies the additional comments. If any additional note you want to mention, any question, query, you want to ask, anything you are not sure about, you can here type it. We'll get that and we'll answer that before proceeding to the next things. So we don't have any. The next one is submitting. The last step, you are submitting, you will show your details and we submit it to the, just click and it is submitted. So here you thank you for complete submissions and all these. Then we have the email. At this email you have to send your manuscript and with your name details properly mentioned. Those Then I want to show you this. This is basically a live tracker. It shows that the manuscripts, it is being shared with us as the editorial member. This is a live tracker. Whenever any author or manuscript submitter submits any document, it automatically gets detailed. All these sections get detailed here, explained here. So These are some glimpses of our old manuscript receivings. All these details have been filled. We cross-check them, and then this is our editorial workflow as we proceed with them. Like we have the decisions. Initial decision is made by our editor-in-chief, Professor Dr. Zakir. He is not present today due to because he has a flight to attend. He was in flight, so initial screening is done by him as editor-in-chief of the journal. Then the journal is assigned with some kind of manuscript ID as per our format. Manuscript ID is assigned, that is communicated to the author also by email, that your manuscript has been accepted and assigned with this ID. Later on, he can share his ID and track his application later on whenever he wants by an email. So all these things, then the manuscript goes in the initial checking of plagiarism and all these things. After that, we have a first initial screening report, either that goes with minor revisions or major revisions, or it is deferred back to the author if it is not complying totally, or it can also be accepted for to the peer review team and sent to the peer review team for the peer review. Peer reviewers are assigned as per our policy, and all these things, whatever what is happens when someone submits the manuscript. After the submission, what happens is the next topic of Dr. Vernon. So these were all the things that were to be explained. If anyone has any questions, then we have a question answer session later on. That's all from my side. Thank you so much. I'll now hand over to Dr. Vernon, please, to take over.
Okay.
I Sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Vernon. I see a hand raised. Please, you can ask your questions later on in the question answer section. Please continue, Dr. Vernon.
All right. Thank you for that, Dr. Asjed. So, good morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are. So, I'm the managing editor for this talk journal, and I'll be presenting on what happens when you receive your manuscript and all the editorial process that happen after that. So, let me just present my screen. Okay. Yeah, I hope everyone can see my screen. Right. So, sorry about that. Um, right. So, what happens after you submit an article? So, I'll be explaining all the processes that happen once you have submitted your article, as Dr. Asid has outlined for us. So this is just a summary of what happens once you receive the manuscript with everyone who's responsible for it. So you receive it typically by email. It will undergo an initial screening by the editor-in-chief. Once it passes our desk acceptance or rejection criteria, I'll assign an editorial board member. We'll then assign two section editors to do the peer review of the article. And once the peer review is done, we'll be able to reach a decision on the article, and whether it's an acceptance or modifications, minor or major revisions, and or just an outright rejection due to some issues. And once it's accepted, we'll be able to do some technical and production edits once we've accepted it, and it will then be published. After it's published, obviously, you can follow up the article for post publication monitoring of the article in terms of impact, and also checking for errata and all that, which I'll go into later on in detail. So the first thing that will happen is that you'd receive the manuscript and acknowledge the manuscript. So this is what Dr. Ashed has talked about a bit. You'll receive it typically by email that you get on the Google Docs system, as Dr. Ashed has shown us. And first of all, I think, I hope I'm audible. Okay, yeah, there's a bit of a connection issue, but I hope it won't pose too much of an issue. So as Dr. Ashed has shown us, we log in the manuscript with a manuscript ID so that you're able to track the article and progress and ensure that the article is going through the various steps in the correct timelines. The secretary will also check for completeness of the article, as you've seen in the Google Docs, and it will then be forwarded to the editor-in-chief. So The editor-in-chief at this point will do initial screening of the article, which will now just be going through the article and checking that its scope aligns with the objectives of our journal, as Professor Demusola had talked about earlier. Also ensuring that the article is providing novel knowledge and it's relevant. And additionally, they'll also be able to check for obvious methodological flaws and also screen for excessive use of artificial intelligence and also for plagiarism. At this point, the editor-in-chief can do a desk rejection of the manuscript once it has, if the manuscript has violated one of the rules of the journal, for example, the methodological flaws or the use of AI or plagiarism. So, but if the article is suitable, it will be then forwarded to the managing editor for further processing. We'll once again screen the article and then assign one of the two editorial board members we have, who is sort of, the editorial board members are sort of the leader of our peer review team or the section editing team. Each one of the two editorial board members will then be able to assign some section editors to it. Yes, and at this point, I'll be also communicate some of our deadlines for review of the article to these editorial board members, and we shall see these deadlines later on in this presentation. So, as I've mentioned earlier, the editorial board members are sort of a leader of a group of section editors. So they'll assign the article to 2 or 3 peer reviewers, depending on the bulk of the article itself. It'll also ensure that there is no conflict of interest among the section. These invitations are typically blinded, and as I've mentioned, also I communicate the deadlines, which will then be passed on to the section editor. And if for any reason one of the section editors can't review the article in time, we'll also be able to replace them with other editors who are able to do it in the correct timeline. So for the peer review process, as I've said, it will be done by the section editors. This is typically done in a double-blinded manner to ensure low bias. So the section editors will assess the article for scientific validity, originality, and also compliance with common ethical rules or procedures. Once they are done with that, they'll be able to provide an overall recommendation, which may include a bunch of decisions that I think Dr. Asjid has touched on, where we can accept the article or recommend major or minor revisions or outright reject the article. And so these recommendations will then be submitted to the editorial board member and the managing editor. And once the editorial board member and managing editor have received the recommendations from the section editors, we'll consolidate that peer review feedback and sort of consolidate it into a coherent manner that will then be forwarded to the authors themselves. As we've said also, the editorial decision will be one of 4 groups. And once we have chosen one of these editorial decisions, it will then be forwarded to the editor-in-chief, ultimately for a final decision. And typically, when you're forwarding it to the editor-in-chief, it will be a decision of an acceptance. But if there is any other decision, typically a rejection or minor or major revisions, it will just be forwarded to the author directly from the managing editor himself. So the final decision, as I've said, will be done by the editor-in-chief, who will review everything that has been done up to this point, which is reviewing all the reports, the editorial board summary, and also the manuscript itself, ensuring that he also agrees with the decision to accept or reject or revise the article itself. And the final decision of acceptance will then be forwarded through the editor-in-chief. We'll typically communicate that decision to the author first, after which then the article and production review after acceptance of the manuscript. So you check the manuscript for formatting and quality of the figures and the tables, and also accuracy of the references. It will then be assigned also a digital object or identifier or DOI that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. Then the manuscript will then be prepared for the upcoming issue of the Talk Journal, magazine. And so the copy of the final article that has undergone technical production review will then be sent to the author for proofreading and acceptance also, prior to it being published in the next issue of the Talk Journal. So this final version of the article will then be published on the TalkJ website, and we'll also do some post publication promotion where it will be promoted on the TalkJ designated media. For example, LinkedIn, which will be one of the places that many of you have seen this webinar being advertised on. The article metadata will also be registered with Crossref, especially the DOI. And authors and reviewers of these articles will also be acknowledged within the relevant sections. And once we have published the article and it's online, and we've done all that, it will then be monitored also, as I mentioned before, for post-publication concerns, errata, and also triggers for retraction. And ultimately, will also enforce plagiarism and retraction policies as needed to maintain, obviously, the quality and the standing of the journal and the articles that it's publishing. So that is basically all the processes that happen once we've received an article, all the way from receipt of the article to publication of the article. And the timelines of the various steps are also summarized within this slide. So you typically confirm receipt of your article within 2 to 3 days of you submitting it on the Google Docs or the Google on the Google Forms rather. The initial screening and triage are done by the secretary and the editor-in-chief will take 5 to 7 days. Peer review, once we have accepted your article for review, will take around 2 to 3 weeks. This is when we are anticipating a large volume of articles, but I think maybe as we'll mention later on, we're in the process of expediting a lot of these processes. So typically it can take even shorter than that, especially at this stage of the journal's age. So once peer review is done, we'll also revise it again, and that will take 1 to 4 weeks. The final decision will then be communicated, and so the whole process between submission confirmation and final decision communication will typically take 5 weeks maximum. But as I've said, that process is currently being expedited. Proofing and publication of the journal of the article itself will typically take 5 to 10 days. And as I finish now, we'll just touch on the decision outcomes, which I think we have discussed multiple times up to this point. Obviously, for most articles, what you want to do is accept the article, but it has to meet all the criteria and be of sound methodological quality, all right? But other than that, if the article is of sound methodological quality, but minor or major revisions are needed, we'll typically recommend those. And we can also reject the article outright, which can be one of two rejections. We can have desk rejections. That's when there is gross methodological violation of the article of our journals and policies. That includes obviously use of AI, plagiarism, lack of novelty, irrelevant articles also. Those will be typically criteria for rejection, desk rejections. And also you can have rejections after the peer review has been done. Once we realize that the article itself does not fit certain criteria of the journal itself. So that's all I had prepared for the whole process of the stages between receipt of the article all the way to acceptance of the article itself. So at this point, I think I'll hand it over to the next person within our agenda, who will be Dr. Isha, if he's there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vernon. I'll be sharing my screen now. So, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Dr. Ishan Bakshi, and today I'll be talking about APCs or article processing charges of TOG. Okay, so first of all, what are article processing charges? So basically, article processing charges are the fees which is paid by the authors upon acceptance of the manuscript in an open access journal. So unlike any subscription based journal, we are really open access journal. That means the articles in our journal are freely available to read to all the readers. And so just to sustain these APCs are there. Uh, so okay. So APCs, they ensure free, immediate, or and unrestricted access to the published researches globally. And we are here to particularly we are here to support low and middle income country researchers, peri-operative innovations, and interdisciplinary contributions. So why does this matter? So because we think that scientific knowledge should be democratized, and we really our main objective is to support global surgical education. So basically, we use World Bank's income classification to set our APCs. So which can be found in a website as well. So we have four groups of countries which are classified at A, B, C, and D, which are low income, low middle income, upper middle income, and high income respectively. And the APC charges for Group A is $20 US dollars. For B, it's 50 US dollars. For Group C, it is 75 US dollars. And for Group D, is 100 US dollars. Okay. So what does APC cover? So basically, APC covers the peer review and editorial processing. It covers the DOI registration and indexing of the paper. It covers copy editing, typesetting, and quality formatting of the paper. And it covers the online hosting of our website and long-term archiving of all the papers which are published. Also, APC covers the charges for subscription which we use to check the compliance of the papers. That is for plagiarism checks, ethics, and data protection checks. Okay, so now I'm gonna talk a little bit about the waivers and discount policies. So we at TalkJ, we provide APC reliefs to authors which are going through financial hardship and who are not much comfortable paying the APC. So basically, the waiver is for Group A and B countries. So authors of Group A and B countries can avail up to two full waivers per calendar per author. For group C countries, we have partial discounts of around 50 to 75%, which is totally on the editor's discretion. And for Group D, that is high income countries, there's no waiver available as of now. Okay, so the waiver is based on genuine financial constraints and scientific merit of submission. Okay, so what are the criteria for a waiver approval? Uh, so we a valid waiver request form should be submitted along with the following documents. So which should include statement of financial hardship, which can have, for example, no grant supports or self-funded work. We need affirmation of no alternate institution or external funding, and details of the manuscript and corresponding author's country. Okay. So what is the step-by-step process of submission of a waiver request? So first of all, the authors can download the waiver request form from the TalkJ's website. They have to complete the form and they have to submit the form along with their manuscript submission. And the email which will contain the manuscript should also contain a cover letter, COI form, data availability and ethics document along with the waiver request form, and all these forms has to be emailed at our email, which is editorial@talkjournal.org. And please, everybody, keep in mind that late waiver applications, that is after the acceptance of the paper, will not be accepted. So once you have submitted all the forms and your paper has been accepted, so after that, an APC invoice will be issued, and the author must confirm it, either confirm the waiver we are offering or must pay the APC within 30 days of the APC invoice issuance. Delay in payments may cause publication delay or else may lead to withdrawal of the manuscript from the issue. So we have multiple payment methods by which authors can pay, like credit card, debit card, bank transfers. Okay, so why transparency matters? So as I think everybody have guessed right now that we are being really transparent about our editorial processes and how we work. So basically, we think that everything should be open and nobody should feel that they are being hidden when they have been withdrawing from any information. So for that, every APC information is publicly accessible on a website. The waiver criteria and downloadable forms are there on our website. And TalkJ has been aligning with COP, that is Committee of Publication Ethics, ICMJE, and DOAG standards as well. So basically, our main goal is to build trust and ensure fair treatments with all the authors. So we actually expect authors to do responsible use of the waivers we are providing. So we really expect the authors to just only apply for waivers when they genuinely need it, so that we are preserving those funds for people who are actually in need. And we want authors to be really transparent about their funding situations, and we really want authors to respect one waiver one paper policy, so no author duplication would co-author duplication will be entertained. So that's all. At the end, I'll just summarize everything I've gone through. So APC are article processing charges which support open access publishing and global knowledge sharing. So TalkJ provides waivers and discounts to support authors from low income resources. Transparency, equity, and sustainability guide the waiver processes, and authors must submit waiver forms at the time of submission. So for any other queries or doubts, if you have any other questions, or if you're preparing a submission, I really encourage you to visit our website. Everything is very clearly mentioned. And still, if you have any kind of doubts, you guys can always reach us at editorial@talkj.org. Thank you so much for everybody's attention. I would like to ask Dr. Alex to continue with this presentation. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone. I hope I'm audible. Just a second, I put up my slides. Hello everyone. I hope everyone can see my slide, or rather my screen, and it's in slideshow. Yeah, so I am Dr. Alex Mwangi Kihunyu. I'm part of the editorial. I'm an editorial board member for the Operating Room Global Journal. So for today, my section will be a bit short, but and will be on responding to reviewer comments. So basically, the effective strategy that you can use for revision and tone. And then this is usually after you've already submitted your manuscript and it wasn't rejected. So I guess you'll be a bit excited as it wasn't rejected. But the journal requires you to make some few changes before it can be considered for publication. So we are looking at how will you respond to these changes effectively. So the first thing is what is the need for for this section and why is it important? So basically you've written a manuscript, but the reviewers who've gone through it say that its study is basically novel or it's eligible for the journal, but requires it can't be published in the state that it is. So you need to respond to the given feedback, and this is usually brought about by around a minimum of 2 section editors from the journal. So this is basically reviewer feedback, which is essential to improve research quality and improve your manuscript. And also it will demonstrate professionalism and scientific maturity of your paper. So basically responding to reviewers should have the following 3 principles. First of all, it should be respectful and appreciative because the reviewers who provided their feedback took their time out of their own schedules to look at your manuscript and recommended changes that would make the paper better, or rather improve the scientific rigor for your manuscript. So you should actually you don't see this as a form of judgment, rather see it as an opportunity to make your manuscript better, and hence make it like it will improve the quality of your paper, which improves the citations that you get from the given paper. So basically, avoid defensive wording. Don't be too emotional about the responses that you get. Be scientific. Ensure whatever you give is usually scientific. So let's go step by step process. So usually you get several comments. One reviewer might give more than one comment for your given manuscript, or they may not give any at all. So you need to read through all the comments that you get and you divide them. So you have major versus minor. Minor issues are things like grammatical errors in your paper. Major issues are things like for instance, your methodology is fault. So that's something that needs to be addressed because it affects the whole paper. So you divide them because major issues require more of your time, and minor issues are usually sorted out easily. And based on this division, you'll actually be able to know the timeline that you'll require to sort your work, because there'll be a given deadline that you need to get back your revision within. So yeah, prioritize, divide it into major versus minor issues. Then for each reviewer's response, you need to handle it individually. For each comment that was given, you need to handle it separately. So that when you send back your manuscript, when the reviewers come and check if or whatever you changed, it's easier for them rather than they have to redo the whole review process. So that's the third point over there, where we are saying you need to put a point-by-point format for each of the responses. So how do you respond? So usually we'll send you a feedback with the comments that the reviewers send. So you need to quote whatever comment that was sent to you, then give out your response. Your response can either you agree or you disagree. And this should be respectfully and ensure it's scientific. So after you get these two, when you agree whether you're agreeing or disagreeing, you need then to quote where particularly you put your response in. So how do you quote this? Let's, for instance, the statement that the reviewer entered should be in page 8. So you need to mention that you added a given section on page 8. And in this page 8, what's the paragraph number? Maybe is it the second paragraph? And the line number for your response. Usually people require just putting the page and the line, but you can even be more specific, the page, the paragraph, and the line. Then after you quote this, you actually mention whether you agree or disagree, and you need to be respectful, and also maybe start by thanking of the reviewers for the comment that they gave you to improve your manuscript. So tone, as I said, usually you start with a general thank you for the reviewers taking out their time to actually go through your work. You should use professional language. So basically, we respectfully disagree, we respectfully agree, and then you mention what changes you made. Of course, don't use exaggerated praise so as to sway the reviewers based on the comment that they gave you. Basically, you should let your science speak for you, and the changes, because you will have made changes, and then these are what the reviewers will check. So what most people, the common reasons why a paper might get sent back for, you got a reviewer comment but you didn't respond. So what are the common pitfalls a paper might get sent back? So first thing is ignoring a comment. You see a reviewer maybe gave you four comments that you're supposed to address. You only responded to two, and even maybe for those two that you responded vaguely. Basically,
Dr. Alex, your mic isn't working, if you can hear me. Okay, sorry for the inconvenience by his side. I think Professor Dr. Nigat, you should continue onwards.
sorry guys, I think I lost my internet. I hope my screen is still visible. So I think I was lost on the here and the structure and response. So let me just go a slide. So you are here. We're saying that after you review, I hope I'm still audible. After you review and you've responded to the comments. So yes, you might have responded, but did you follow our guidelines for the journal? Maybe the grammatical way you're supposed to respond. Did you quote your response? These are that's part of the common pitfall that your manuscript might get sent back. So how do you structure your response? So maybe you'll be sending a document to us, and this document you can actually send it as a table, which is divided into two columns. One is for the comment you are given, and the other is for the response that you did. Or you can just send it as in a continuous prose, quoting each of the reviewer's comments and addressing it. And on addressing, as we mentioned, you need to refer to the page and the line number, or you can even send a manuscript with the tracked changes. But the page and the line number is one which is easier, because you can compare the reviewer's comment to what change you implied, either agreeing or disagreeing. So this is just a sample. So maybe a reviewer said, consider discussing limitations related to self-reported data in the discussion. You gave a discussion, this is what you got. So your response will be, as we say, the structure. You start with, you should at least thank the reviewers for the work they did to your manuscript. So this says, we thank the reviewer for this important point. This suggests that you're not involved the whole authors in your manuscript for them to make a decision on the comment that was given. So as we put it here, we have now added a paragraph in the limitation section, page 15, paragraph 12, line 312 to 320. So this puts exactly where we are when we try now to check how you responded. And for instance, in this case, you added the following section: acknowledging the potential for recall bias and self-report inaccuracies and how this may have influenced our findings. So something similar to this. You quote the review, you have the reviewer's comment, You explicitly mention where you are where you've made the changes, and you can even quote the response that you included in this. Yes. So take-home messages will be polite. Don't see this as the reviewers being judgmental. Rather, this is like a point for you to improve your paper, and of course, this will end up in improving the number of citations you get. So be polite, precise, and thorough. Address every comment clearly, mentioning where the changes that you made, and also begin by thanking the reviewers for getting time to review your work. As you said, you be respectful. Whether you agree or disagree, just be respectful for the comments that you are given, and let the science speak through careful revision. It's not about you trying to convince them. Let your work speak for you on the changes that you made. Yeah, that's it on my end. I'll pass it on to the next person. Let me just check who's the next person. All right, so I'll pass it on to Professor Dr. Negat, who will be handling plagiarism. Thank you, everyone.
Professor Nigat, we can't hear your voice. Sorry, Dr. Nigat, but you are inaudible to us, please. Sorry, we're having our voice issues, but I think Professor Nigat is solving the issue he's facing from his end. Dr. Nigat, can you please just text in the chat what is the issue? I think we should proceed with the next one till you resolve your issue, because it's from your end as no one is capable to hear you. Okay, Dr. Nigat, please check. After removing your headphones, we can proceed to the next one till you manage the issue. No, you are still not audible. We can just see you, can't hear you. I think we are moving to the next. Please resolve your issue till that. We'll move to the Mr. Hari Rawat for the next one. The last session before we have the question and answers. Please proceed on.
Hello everyone, I'll just be sharing my screen. Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, it's visible. Please continue.
So hello everyone present over here. I'll be briefing you about how to promote your work after you have published it. So first of all, let us understand why promoting your published research matters. Like all of us, we should know that publishing is not the end. It is just the beginning. Like in today's rapidly evolving academic and scientific landscape, we know that simply publishing your research is no longer enough. With millions of articles published every year, even the most impactful work can get buried if not actively promoted. So, this session, we will see why visibility, accessibility, and engagement of the research work is very important for you, and what are the benefits of promoting your work. Firstly, promotion can help amplify your reach. It can boost citations and academic impact of your work towards others. It can enhance your professional profile as well. Also, we can, in some ways, drive real world changes, especially in the medicine and public health field, where our research work can influence many different clinical practices and policies as well. So, how, when, what, where, these are the basic questions that comes into your mind when you think of promotion of your research work. So when should we start promotion? Before our publication, we can create anticipation amongst people with teaser posts, or we can share conference abstracts or preprints if that's allowed. At the time of publication, you can announce your publications on all the relevant platforms that I'll be talking to you about in just a minute. And after publication, you can share updates, follow-up studies, or even practical applications of your work. where to promote it. This is very important for everyone to understand that there are different platforms on which you can promote your work. These are the academic platforms, social medias, institutional channels, conferences, webinars, podcasts, blogs, news media. So the main focus behind the academic platforms should be on ResearchGate, Google Scholars, Orchid, Academia, and you can use other social medias handles like Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebooks, or you can use your university website, newsletters, press releases. Even you can present it in a conference, or you can collaborate with science communicators to broaden the reach via broadcast, blogs, news medias, etc. How should we start promoting? There are various different methods, but these 4 points should be your main target. You should present your work with infographics via visual summaries. You can use plain language summaries. You can make your work accessible to non-specialists as well via that. From engagement perspective, you can tag co-authors, institutions, and relevant researchers, or you can use hashtags, because nowadays in this digital world, nothing is possible without hashtags. So you can use certain pre-existing hashtags that will help you gain the reach that you require. Also, consistency is the key. You just do not promote it once. You use reminders, you use different angles to promote your work so that it reaches throughout many different platforms to many different people. So what are the basic steps that can help you increase your visibility? Firstly, you can optimize your author profile via keeping your ORCID ID, Google Scholars, ResearchGate, and Publon's profiles updated regularly. Use consistent name formats across all the other publications so that your work will be in a systematic manner. You can add keywords, research interests in that. And on the social media platforms, these are the following steps that you can use. Firstly, you can post highlights and key findings so that the person who reads your post gets an idea that what all content is present inside your article, so that they will get the interest to read it. You can create threads or post with simplified summaries of the whole thing that you have written. Like you write abstract in the research, so you can just paste it over here so that the people get an idea. You can also tag the co-authors, you can tag the journals, you can tag the institutions and all the other relevant communities in that. You can use hashtags like hashtag #medtwitter, hashtag #OpenScience, hashtag #SearchEd, hashtag #research. There are multiple various hashtags that you can use. Also, you can create visual content. You can use graphics, graphical abstracts, or even short videos or reels. The tools that will be helpful are Canva, BioRender, Adobe Express, and all. You can also engage with the community. You can respond to the comments. You can reshare related work. You can initiate conversations with others. You can collaborate with influencers or science communicators in that matter. You can join and contribute to academic discussions forums and Facebook groups as well. So this is a short table that will help you understand what different platform requires you to do. Like in the Twitter, you can use academic threads, you can use hashtags, and you can tag your co-authors in that. When posting in LinkedIn, you can try for a professional reach where you can share your insights and even tag your institution for the reach to be publicated. In ResearchGate, you can do academic sharing where it enables full text, and you can also track all the reads that you have achieved. On Canva, you can use it for visual abstract, and like for social media, as I said, you can do it. So the takeaway points from my point is that promotion is very essential for you to amplify your academic contribution. You can use 2 to 3 platforms based on your audience and your expertise as well. You can engage actively, you can respond to comments, collaborate with follow peers. You can use track metrics like alt metric, citations, and downloads, which will help you understand that your article has reached to how many people and at how many places. And you should always think long term. You should build a visible, credible academic presence so that you just do not get suppressed by all the various millions and millions of things that are there in the internet. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Professor Nekat. Is it feasible for you to start back? I think Dr. Ningat is having some kind of issues. I'll briefly go through to the plagiarism and retraction policies he will be discussing that he wants to be discussed. But I'll give a brief go through with it. Then you can have, if you have any kind of queries, then you can ask in the upcoming question answer sessions that is immediately behind it. Then I'll share my screen for the plagiarism and retraction policies that our journal is applying. So here those are the plagiarism policies. Yes. So in our journal, the Operating Room Global Journal, we are having a strict and zero tolerance policy on the plagiarism. That can be any kind of plagiarism, either that is the similarity index plagiarisms, or that is the artificial intelligence index for plagiarism. As I told earlier on, that AI plagiarism is also been added by the official platforms and the universities worldwide in their manuscripts. So we are also having an AI check on the manuscripts we receive from the authors. We also check for the similarity index. We also check for the AI policies. As per the AI policies, as has been discussed earlier on too, that the guidelines we are following is ISA, MJE, WAME, then the Committee on Publication Ethics. So all these are the guidelines we are following. Zero plagiarism tolerance policy. It can be plagiarism, can be a direct plagiarism, self-plagiarism, mosaic plagiarism, accidental plagiarisms. That can be the only thing that removes the plagiarism is that you give a reference to that thing in the context of your manuscript. So that will not be counted as the plagiarism. Otherwise, all the things you use without any reference are fall under the category of plagiarism. That can be direct, self, and mosaic plagiarisms. Then we have the AI generated and content and AI plagiarisms. I'll explain it briefly that AI plagiarism refers to the unknowledgeable use of content generated by artificial intelligence tools that, such as ChatGPT, Bard, Copilot. Recently has been there has been a lot amount of use of such kind of platforms for the research work. But if you use, then you have to be restricted in the use. You can pick up things, you can pick up key points from that source softwares, but you cannot use them totally for the research work as they get indicated. There's a specific pattern and manner in these softwares, as they are the artificial intelligence software, not a human software. So they write the thing in a specific pattern that gets detected on the plagiarism detection softwares, just like Turnitin. Turnitin is the one we are following. Turnitin's report is authentic, and It is valid on all platforms, global and worldwide, but and in the all committees of indexings, etc. So we are also following the Turnitin policies. As soon as your manuscript is received, the first thing done is first one, it is checked by the secretaries of the journal that it is valid, it is in proper format, all the formatting is checked, and the very next thing is its plagiarism is checked both for the AI and similarity index. Then these are sent for the initial screening to the editor-in-chief. So these are the policies. We are having zero tolerance policies on the plagiarism, telling here the amount of plagiarism that we are allowing, and that is uh, 19%. As you all know, those have been in the research field, 19% is the cut point worldwide that is allowed. So we are also having a similarity index of 19% and similar AI index also 19%. 19% equal to 19% or less than it is valid and allowed. If it is more than this, even if it's 20%, then we are not allowing such kind of things, excluding the references and standard terminologies, just like we are having medical terminologies and fixed repository terminologies. So those are not included in that. So it is author's responsibility that the author should check for the AI tools and the plagiarisms before submitting. Editorial response to violation: if plagiarism included AI-generated plagiarism is detected, manuscripts may be rejected, blacklisted, institution may be notified, published articles will be marked as retracted. So as we are having zero tolerance policies, because if we have to follow the guidelines of ICJ, ME, and COPE, so we have to check for all these things. If the author continuously submits a plagiarized document, then we also have the right to blacklist the author from the journal for the rest of lifespan. So appeals and review process: authors may appeal plagiarism decisions by submitting a formal explanation. All appeals are reviewed confidentially by the TOJ editorial board and ethics committee, whose decisions are final. Policy, transparency, and updates: the policy is reviewed annually to reflect evolving publications, ethics, and developments. As we are new journal, our policies are straight and cut points that I have mentioned, that we are having a 19% is the cut point. We will allow AI and similarity index at the 19%. Rest of it, if it is more than this, we will not allow that. So next one, we have the retraction policy. Purpose of retraction: the TOJ is committed to maintaining the accuracy, transparency, and integrity of the scholarly record. Retractions are issued to correct errors that invalidate findings and address ethical violations such as data fabrication, plagiarism, duplicate publications, or authorship disputes. The most common thing is that a manuscript is submitted to more than one journals and they get violated. And if you are using the data, fake data, without ethical committees reports and all other things, then this is also an issue. So we have the ground for retraction. A published article may be retracted if this is clear evidence of plagiarism data. The article reports findings previously published elsewhere without proper citation, redundant publication. There's serious methodological flaws, redundant results, and variable authorship was granted to individuals who did not contribute significantly. Ghostwriters, paid writers. This is undisclosed conflict of interest. All these things like conflict of interest. Specifically the most important things are: one is plagiarism and second one is ethical guidelines. If ethical guidelines and plagiarism policies are not followed, then the article will be retracted. All these details will be further shared on to you later. If anyone has a question, we have upcoming at the last session we are having is question answer session with Dr. Pejita. So I'll let him to take over. Please, Dr. Pejita.
Thank you, Dr. Asjit. Now we will start with the question and answer session. Everyone, you can please leave your questions in the chat and I will begin with the questions that are already there. So the first question is for Dr. Asjit. Could you please explain more about the AI detection and plagiarism checks?
Yes, as I have already explained that we are following the Turnitin for this, the Turnitin official platform we are using. As soon as the author submits his manuscript, we put that on the Turnitin, and author can also request the reports of that too, if she wants that he want to know about that the policy we have implemented to and we have subjected to the revision in the manuscript. So we can submit that report to him, the author also.
The second question for you is, if you may want to confirm the timeline for authors to get an editorial decision on the manuscript they submit.
Okay, for this we are having different time frameworks as were explained earlier on. We will be having 2 to 3 days for the initial screening, in which secretaries will assign a manuscript ID and will check for the format of the manuscript and will check the plagiarisms reports and all these things. Then the author will be informed if the manuscript is okay. He will be informed about the manuscript assigned ID and the further proceedings later on, and then it will follow up with editor-in-chief for a week almost, then to the peer reviewers. In between, the author will be continuously contacted each and every step. He will be told by emails of the journals.
The next question is, do we have guidelines for the management of conflict of interest and funding?
Yes, we have guidelines. It's basically from on the author's end if he is taking any funding, but the only thing we want from the authors is that they should mention clearly each and everything on their manuscripts. They can mention in acknowledgements, they can mention as a separate section in the manuscript in the end before references that if they have received any kind of funding, they can mention in acknowledgements. For the conflict of interest, if there is no conflict of interest, then they can write just 1 to 2, 3 lines that the authors, if it is one author, they can write author declares there is no conflict of interest. If there are more than one authors, then he should mention from on the behalf of every author that authors declare there is no conflict of interest in this. And if there is some kind of conflict of interest, like they have some restrictions, they don't want their images to be used and any other kind of thing they don't want, then they can mention that on that portion of, and we will follow those things as we proceed to the publication.
Thank you. The next question is, the cut point for plagiarism and AI, as we mentioned, was 19% for both. And another question is, are we considering only English articles or do we have option for other languages?
Yes, on our website it is mentioned that we are considering only English articles, but recently we have made a significant change in it. And as I mentioned earlier on, that we are also accepting bilingual articles. We are not accepting other than English single language article. If you are having some other language, then you can have a copy of that in English language and you can submit both of those to the journal. We can accept bilingual or in singular form, just English language.
The next question is, how do you know that the research was actually carried out in the institution being used by the author? Because ethical here is not a proof.
Yes, ethical. We will ask for the ethical review of letter and the data collection letter. On that letter, everything should be mentioned clearly. We can contact the institution if we want or we see any discrepancy. Then we will directly contact the institution with that is mentioned on the ethical review letter or the data collection letter, and we'll mail them or otherwise we'll contact them on their contact details and we'll ask for them that if this data collection has been valid or it has been done fake. That will fall under the retraction policies. If we observes any kind of discrepancy, then we will automatically defer the article or we can blacklist the author too.
If anyone has any more questions, please write it down in the chat.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Can you hear me, Dr. Ajit?
Yes,
Yes,
we
we
are
can
hearing
hear
you,
you.
please.
Just accept my apology for the inconvenience. Initially, I joined with my computer, and the speaker was totally difficult to settle. Okay. Now, lately, I joined it from my phone.
Yes,
I
we
thank
can
you.
hear you.
Yeah, I thank you for presenting my share. Just to add on the plagiarism and retraction policy, the policies are clear and shared on the org journal page, on the initial page. And just to add, we can include or refer the TITA guideline, transparency in the use of in reporting use of artificial intelligence. We can refer that also. And this use of artificial intelligence in manuscript writing and the generation of the article, it should be mentioned either on the method part or the acknowledgement part. And to add more, any form of AI tools couldn't be authors, can't be mentioned as an author, but use of AI can be mentioned on the acknowledgement part or on the method part. Thank you very much. Just give me your apology for the inconvenience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Nikhil. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If anyone has any other question, she can ask in the chat box or can open the mic and ask for the YouTube audience. A large amount of audience is on YouTube, so they can put it down in their comment box and we will pick from there.
We have another question. What if someone bypasses AI catching websites like Turnitin and others, as there are websites that can humanize AI text such as GPT-0 and other websites and have a hard time catching the text if they're humanized? So how do you guys counter that?
Okay, that is the thing. They can use those softwares, but the thing is that for the medical and health related transcripts or manuscripts, these softwares are not valid as much as they are for the other languages or for some kind of English literature or other literature works, because in medical there are specific terminologies and these softwares are not as much as valid that they can put those terminologies in the same way in the revised version or the immunized versions. They can just do a specific word shuffling. They cannot just totally bypass the AI, and you cannot totally do that on medical. They will transform your medical language into some kind of a vague language that will easily be detected when the editor-in-chief and peer reviewers will do the initial checks and the reviews of the manuscript. They will easily catch and find that thing from the end. Any more question from anyone? Okay, as I think there are no more questions. If anyone has any other question, then the person can mail on the journal's website and we will answer them as soon as far as it will be possible for us. I would like to invite Professor Dr. Addis to give a brief follow-up comments and then there will be closing as per the assigned agenda. So please, Professor Addis.
Please, I have something to say. Can you hear me? Good
Yes,
evening,
yes,
all.
please.
Okay, I have something to say concerning our journal and publication and creating awareness. You know, we can have this journal, but we don't have an awareness. Just as the CEO mentioned that at least we have gotten up to 2 people with 10 people with articles. So I'm suggesting here that if you look at the participants, I'm having about 40 here, but initially it was 50 something. And this 50 something can go a long way to create an awareness of this particular journal, because without awareness, the journal will not even go far. And what do I mean by this? And if it will be okay, I think I plead with the CEO, we should make a flyer, of the journal. Then it can be posted to our chapters so that people can pick it up from there and post to their individual institutions or and wherever they belong to or groups they belong to. Posting those flyers is a kind of creating awareness that, okay, Talk has a journal, people can publish their articles as long as it is related to surgical topics and all whatnot. Because if it is within Talk, within us here, it cannot go far. It can only go far when we start creating an awareness. And again, if by God's grace, we happen to publish our first journal, I think it will also be okay in different chapters to have hard copy of it for people to collect and put in most of their institutional libraries, because that is where students go for research to see if they can get journals where they can publish how far is the journal that attracts them to go there also. And at the same time, again, it will also help us, like some of us who wish to publish our article with talk too, to convince our institution that this is a good journal because it's just coming up. Like most schools, renowned schools will not like to, like PhD, allowing a PhD student to just publish his article in a journal that is just coming, that maybe that have not had that credibility and or whatnot. But it's we that can make it to have that credibility by talking to people in our facilities, in our institutions, in our colleges, and posting the flyers and have the correct answers and questions whenever they are able to ask us. It will go a long way for talk to have enough materials for publication and without even delay. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so
Hello.
much,
I
Professor.
think I can just respond to that. Thanks so much for the recommendation and for your comments. Well appreciated. Can I just say a few things? I think on publicity and announcements, I think we have a technical and production editor. Actually, it's going to be giving the closing remark as well, and so that you can also know more about his role. I think generally since the journal was actually launched, it's been announcing every single day of the week. Like if people are actually in the community, in the TORG community, there is community one, there is community two. The reason why we have those communities is it's to just prevent duplication of posts on each chapter. There are so many chapters, so many countries. Instead of posting every single thing on every country WhatsApp group, so if it goes in the community, there are hidden groups in the community and there are public ones. When it goes in the community, all those chapters can see the post at the same time. They can see, once they see the announcement, they can know that, oh, this thing has been shared, and they can see it at the same time. And I believe the technical and production editor has been doing a lot of work over the last 3 weeks now, if I'm correct. So it's been doing a lot of work, and there was a dedicated page for that on LinkedIn as well, which is for the journal. And so many announcements, so many sharing of posts have been going on in the background and online. So I think it would still boil down to every single person, because it's not something that one person can do. When we see the post, you can, as a professional, to show your support, you can react to the post, because once you react, or even if you leave a comment or something, the algorithm of the social media platform actually pushes it more to your network, to people connected to you, so that they can see that as well. So each person has a single role to play. When it goes in the community, right, we may not be able to come to maybe, for example, the WhatsApp group of a country to repost that same thing, because majority don't even like it. And maybe people would begin to exit once they begin to see same posts all over and over and over again. So each person has a role to play. When you see any of the announcements in that regard, please kindly share, kindly push. Even in your own institution, the Operating on Global Journal is very, very new. And I think I mentioned this at the beginning, and everyone said that we still have a long way to go, but I believe personally that it's achievable. That place that we are envisioning, we want to get a significant impact factor as much as possible, we can achieve that. And I can't do it alone. The editorial team can't do that alone. Everyone, all hands need to be on deck. Help us to push, help us to announce, help us to actually tell your facility. The journal is looking for institutions to partner. I think maybe because of this editorial forum, I can say that if anyone can get to your facility to partner with the journal, the very first publication of all the either students, all of them, that set, even if it's master's, if it's PhD, for any country, we can do it for free and give all of them waivers just to encourage. If it's something you would like to look into anyway, that's just for everyone. So if you have an institution that want to partner with the journal, all the publications of a set, even if they are 50, we can do that for free. I mean, and waive all the APCs because they will be part of the inaugural issue of the journal. So we can do that to encourage participation with high income countries, with other countries. We can consider even up to 30% of discounts on the APC. You know, the APC is significant. I personally, I wanted to publish in some journals. I was saying all this over 1,000 USD, even to make a single publication. Can you imagine that? Those fees are exorbitant. People can't actually afford that. When you want, or if we are starting a journal and our aim is not even profits, but we want to encourage as many people as possible, aspiring professionals who can't actually afford this, who can't do, we want to encourage them to get into the system, to know the trend that is going on in the society, in the operating environment, to research publications and more. So if it's to encourage you, we can give that discount that would help people as much as people as possible. If it's an institution, if your institution is going to be maybe one of the first 5 to partner with us over the next 1 month, we can give full waivers for everyone who is going to publish with us. And for the virtual, as part of this meeting, for everyone attending this meeting, if you are going to submit an article to that journal, now, because you have attended to this meeting and you have said maybe over 50% of it, and we have the record anyway, we are going to look into that. So as part of the, to say thank you for actually joining this inaugural editorial forum, we can give waivers to publish with the journal. We can give waivers, full waivers for everyone attending to this session, if that would be okay. So it still boils down to everyone. It's not something one person can do. It's not something 2 people can do, not even 3, not even 4. You as a person, as a professional in your facility, you can amplify that vision. You can amplify that post. We'll be sharing flyers anyway. More flyers are going to be shared over the next couple of days and more and more. And it never ends. So it's just like that. So, but we want people to help us as much as possible. Well, I may not really comment on the printing aspect that was requested now, because the main goal of the journal is to have it digital, because the world is completely going away from paper. Like, we have vast platform that we can use to promote this and amplify. The Talk Network is enough, is massive to promote and to do all these things, but the printing aspect, the hard copy, we may not be able to do that now, unless maybe when we get significant funding to sustain the journal. But digitally, I can say we will try our best to actually publicize as much as possible. And we need the help of everyone to help us to amplify that impact as well. So thank you so much. Because of the time, I'm going to hand over to the publication and technical editor to give the closing remark. Thank you so much, everyone.
Oh, thank you so much, Ma, and thank you so much, everyone, for this investment. This has really been, despite our schedules, despite how busy, our schedules are, we still find time to invest in ourselves, in our career, and in us getting better. I really appreciate each and every one that has handled one section or the other. I know some people are just joining late, and I know we're just admitting some people. Their materials are available, and you could still go through the comment section now, and upon request, we'll be sending some of these materials to each and every one of us that desire. So we thank you very much for your time. Thanks so much to our CEO. Thanks so much to each and everyone who is taking each section. Because of our time, we are targeting 1 hour 30 minutes before, but we fast. We are almost 2 hours now, and yet each and everyone still stayed. Thank you very much. And I want to also appreciate the CEO for the great opportunity, the free waiver for anyone who has stayed for over 50% of the time. I would encourage us to really make use of this opportunity. And despite our busy schedules, and these are part of the things we share. Even on our LinkedIn page, I shared the link of recent. If you are not following us, you can follow us. And these are part of the things we'll be encouraging us to see how we can create time out of no time. And thank you very much once again. I don't know if there's any other additional comments or any observation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Patrick, and thank you so much everyone for your presence here. And if anyone has any kind of query, they can mail the journal and we'll respond to that. And thank you so much everyone who attended through the YouTube live stream and through the Zoom link. And a very, very great opportunity is given by our CEO, Professor Dr. Edisola Nikoko, that all the participants of this meeting either through the YouTube or the Zoom will have a full publication fee waiver in the upcoming month if they submit to the our journal. So it is a very great opportunity. We'll be looking forward to you, and thank you so much, everyone. Very goodbye to everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.